Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, Drew. Good to see you. Michael, good to see you. And then we got Ian on here.
Looks like Michael's driving, so he's gonna listen in.
Yeah, stay in that left lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I invited my friends at Tucson Adventure Rentals. They said they were going to try to join the call this morning. So,
Oh,
Awesome.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we sent out a text yesterday to a bunch of people we had numbers for. Because yeah, opening it up. Here we go.
How are things going over there, Drew?
Good, good. Kind of wrapping up the busy summer season, and I probably won't be on the whole call here. I've got to get to another meeting at 9:30 or so. But things are going well.
Good.
Yeah.
I like
Getting
it.
some more self-return bookings, and those are definitely a good option for people, right? Gives them a lot more flexibility and schedule. So,
Oh yeah.
That's cool. I thought that was going to work well for your location because yeah, it seemed like the hours. It's interesting how many you get of those, right? Like we got a ton of them right off the bat too, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we were missing or turning away all these guests, like people walking in to the later hours, and our staff would be like, come back tomorrow. And instead, now we're like, yep, let's take the money right now, send it, let's go.
yeah, we were even discussing yesterday that, if we get once we get into the slower season here, if we only have one customer booked for a day or something like that, instead of hanging out and waiting for them for 4 or 6 hours, we can just get them checked out and then come back to our store, because we have those other locations. So we're not having to spend the whole day there waiting for one person to get back, so.
I love that idea. Shelby, write that one down for Sheldon.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's a slow
just
day,
text
why
them
have
like, hey,
staff
we're gonna do a
working?
self-return, and I'm gonna be working on this stuff, and
Yeah.
we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, call our store if you need anything. We'll be there, right?
Yeah, I like
Mhm.
it. That's awesome.
Cool.
Okay, well, if you're able to share your camera, please do. Love to see you, talk with you. This is going to get recorded and posted out later. So we're going to be sharing a lot of stuff regarding marketing today. So really excited to get started. Cool, let's dive into it. So quick intro for those that are new. My name is Spencer, and you'll see Shelby here. Go ahead and wave, Shelby.
Hi,
But yeah,
Shelby.
partners in Rise, and our goal is to help tourist attraction companies work on their business instead of in their business. So we've developed this call every 2 weeks to go over insights in the tourist attractions industry and really create a community where everyone can get together and share ideas that are working. We're going to be talking a lot about relevant ideas that are working for us right now and generating income and bookings. So yeah, super excited to continue to grow this call and talk about relevant stuff that makes us all more money. So excited for that. Awesome. So normally as a part of this, what we have you guys do is throw out your victory laps. Victory lap is something that you accomplish during the week. So a lot of the times as business owners, we focus a lot on like the problems in the business, which makes sense, right? Like we hear a lot about all the issues and problems that are happening. But we love to hear what your guys' wins are. Like Drew mentioned already, a big win in implementing the self-return options. So identifying constraints and overcoming constraints is what we want to hear about. So go ahead and throw your victory lap in the chat so everyone can see it. I think as we grow this call, we'll just need to highlight those victory laps in the chat. And we'll get into it. Anything else to add, Shelby? I know we've got an awesome retreat coming up.
Yeah. So I just wanted to remind you guys, or if this is your first time hearing about it, we are doing a Rise retreat here in Southern Utah at the end of October. So October 21st to the 24th. And Drew's ready to rumble. So he'll be there. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're gonna do like a UTV ride, we're gonna go boating, and we're also going to make sure that we're spending time to work on the business. So we have some of our partners coming out, so you can pick their brains. And then ultimately the goal is to create a roadmap for 2025, right? It's crazy how 2024, we're already in August. So we want to make sure that we are being proactive and preparing for next year. So I'll put that link in the chat as well, and you guys can check it out. But it's gonna be awesome, and that's like the perfect time of year here in Southern Utah as well. So it's gonna be a good time.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and saw a couple new people hop on. How's it going, Greg? See you. Okay, let me close this.
It's good. It's good, and yeah, glad to be listening in.
Yeah.
So
Greg kind of sounds funny on the conference calls, though. He sounds like he's British.
I'm from
He's got-
Texas. You all know this.
yeah, you got that AI filter on. Your shirt's on, but it's throwing me off. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, we'll check out that Rise Retreat link in the chat. Besides our victory laps, so victory laps, again, we put in and highlight the things that we've accomplished in the business. And now we're gonna move into our fortnight highlight. This is something that we share every 2 weeks, something that we found that has either helped our business or something that we've implemented or seen implemented elsewhere. So I'll go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see it here. So our fortnight highlight this fortnight period every 2 weeks is Elf Site. This is something I found out about through Justin Buzzy with Get Up and Go Kayaking in Florida. I was just on his podcast the other day, and it was something he implemented onto his site. It's a widget and custom script builder. So what it does, and the main reason I got it, you'll see on our website, you get all these reviews in all these different places, and sometimes it's difficult to highlight that on your website. But man, this one was a game changer. Like we implemented this probably like 2 days after I heard about it. So there's a monthly fee. You can choose a plan and pick how many widgets you want to add. The best widget that I saw that was in there was this review aggregator. And what it does is it pulls all the reviews from Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor, Airbnb, Get Your Guide, wherever you're listed, and highlights them on your business and pulls the most recent reviews and highlights those as well. So it aggregates them together to, you can see like 2483 pulls the reviews. So it's a really good social proof for people to see on your website. So to give you a little bit of a back end look here in our account, you can actually adjust these review widgets to focus on specific products. So you'll see we've got widgets for boat rentals, jet ski rentals, slingshot rentals, because when you land on that specific page to book, we want to highlight the slingshot rental reviews, right? Like the reviews about slingshots or the reviews about boats. So you're able to build a custom widget for each tour that you have and for each product. So it helps because people are seeing relevant reviews on the page that they're landing on, right? And our homepage has like the main one. So if I want to see Facebook reviews, I can click on this as a customer, or TripAdvisor reviews. So a pretty fun one. So again, that was Elf Site. The other quick thing I want to throw in there is if you are building reviews on TripAdvisor or Viator, TripAdvisor, I found out, has the Review Express. A lot of times we send out review requests to our customers. This one sends out, TripAdvisor will send out a review request to your past customers. You can throw in their email list or your email list, and they'll send a review invite for your TripAdvisor reviews. So if you're looking for a boost in TripAdvisor reviews, this is a tool that they have to send those review requests out to past guests. So if you have that email list, send that out and you'll get to build up your TripAdvisor reviews. Cool. Any questions or thoughts on those tools before we move forward?
What's the cost for the Elf site one?
So yeah, there's like different plans, and I was so excited about it, I kind of just dove right into it. But it was because it was like less than $50 a month. Let me see if I can find the plans. But yeah, I think it was around 20 something a month.
Okay.
The other thing is you pay for as many widgets as you want to use, right? The other widget that I used was the weather widget. So it has active weather on the website now at the bottom of our page. Hopefully that'll help with people booking, you know, if it's going to be rainy, they can kind of see that on the
Mhm.
landing page. But yeah, the main win was definitely looking for a really clean display for reviews. Like I've tried multiple things, and this one finally was like just the no-brainer answer. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
I could see how the weather widget is a good informational piece for customers, but it can also work against you, right? Because a lot of times the weather forecast is generalized and it makes it look like it's going to be worse than it actually is when it's only going to be a 15-minute quick thunderstorm and it shows that it's 80% chance of rain all day, you know, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, definitely depends on your area. We haven't had
right.
rain or bad weather for months. So it
20
just
years.
yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen rain forever. Yeah, if it happens, it's like crazy wind, which that doesn't show. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely just use the widgets, whatever makes sense for your business. So cool. Anything else from anyone? Okay, let's dive into.
I need to take something off this papers.
Okay, where's my thing?
In the back of your,
Okay, so let's dive into the topic for today. For this week and for our next call in 2 weeks, we're going to be going over marketing, which is a pretty broad topic, right? We've outlined the topics for the whole year, and that's about how much time we have to go over marketing. It's actually super relevant for what's going on in the market right now, just because discretionary income has gone down, and people are looking for discounts, right? Like the customers are looking for deals. They're looking for just anything they could book that still fits their budget. So we wanted to create a discussion around things that you guys are doing in the marketing sector to like get more bookings, right? And we believe that like there's 4 core ways, or we've learned that there's 4 core ways to do marketing, right? There's your warm outreach, which is, you know, past customers. It's your current customer, like current people coming through the door, friends and family, Facebook pages, groups that you're on. That's all part of warm outreach. Then there's cold outreach, which is like outbound sales. So you could develop like a cold call method, or getting email lists, doing those. Then you can post free content, right? Social media is a huge one that we leverage because it's free to post, right? And tell people about your business. And then people turn around and learn about you and maybe find your Linktree link and book, right? And then there's run paid ads, right? And running paid ads, in my opinion, is vital for every business to run paid ads consistently throughout the year, and just doing it, you know, in a budget conscious way that makes sense for the amount of revenue that's coming in. So right off the bat, and if you don't have a question, that's fine. We can dive into some examples. But right off the bat, does that resonate with you guys? Like, are you guys seeing that with your guests? Like, people are looking for discounts. It's a little bit more difficult to earn business than it was in the past.
more in the summer than the winter.
Yes, definitely. Definitely slow down and spare money for sure.
Yeah. Right. And it doesn't seem like we are hopping out of that pattern anytime soon, right? I mean, we've got, especially like in the US, right? We've got an election happening. Olympics are closing up. There's a lot of factors that are on people's minds. School just started for a lot of places. So yeah, these next couple months, it's going to be about reaching out to current guests, past guests, and then relying on some paid ads for bookings. And then I think also included in somewhat the paid ads, but somewhat warm outreach are those OTA channels, right? We do a lot better in the winter through OTA channels than we do through our direct channels, because people are still traveling through like the customer type that travels and uses like TripAdvisor to book or Airbnb to book. They have such big audiences that they have more consistent travelers in the slow season. So like during our winter months, we'll see more of a consistent booking through those platforms than through our direct website sometimes. So
One, I think another thing to add too is like building an affiliate program, right? Like we utilize the time in the winter to really go out and build those connections so that we can get more referrals throughout the whole year. So I think that's an important piece to touch on as well. Like local affiliates, right? Like those in your area who are already sending people to you, or other tour and attraction companies in your area where you can work together. And you guys have like the same customer list, right?
So let me pull up a few examples for you guys. I've posted on these. Let me share my screen again. And maybe just keep an eye on the chat, Shelby, too, while I'm doing this, because I think if anybody has questions that can't talk, they might put them in there. So yeah, I posted on a couple examples that we've done to gain business as far as text that we've sent out. So you guys probably saw a post about our text that we sent out, right? The thanks 100 to get $100 off any future adventure. And I was thinking about these deals, right? Because sometimes like it's not always like the most exciting thing to send out discounts or promo codes. But sometimes like the market demands it and it's necessary to get bookings in and to get cash flow into the business, right? So sending text like this out, the reason that we're able to really know what discounts we can provide is because we know the costs in our business, right? So to give you an example, and for those that don't know, like our most common product is like we rent out and do tours on UTVs. So I know because we've added up the costs and divided it out every time it gets sent out, that it costs us, you know, about $160 so every time that machine goes out. So in order to get the like minimum margin that makes sense to actually send out the machine, our minimum price needs to be $250 to get that machine sent out. So whether it's for a full day or for 2 hours, with our business model, we don't worry about depreciation because we lease the machines. So we can go down to the price point of $250, where for a full day, usually in our area, people will, you know, pay $450, $550, depending on the machine for the whole day. So if we can't go below the $250, then usually we'll extend the time to still get the booking, right? Like they might have got a quote for less from some random guy on Facebook renting out his own machine, but we can beat that deal because we can say, you know, take it for the whole day for $250, which will bring in more cash than it just sitting in the lot that day. So to give you an idea of like how we calculate this out, we say, okay, $100 off seems like a lot, right? But our average booking value is about $450. This year it's dropped a little bit to probably $400 just because of the discounts we've been offering to get people through the door and to reach our goals. But normally it's about $450. So if we give everyone $100 off and land at $350, then we're still okay, right? We're still $100 above the minimum margin that we calculated. So I really want to drive home the importance of like knowing what your hard costs are, at least like setting a standard to a certain price to what you're willing to send it out for, whatever it is, like whether it's like a walking tour or whatever price point you're at, find what that hard cost point is and what your minimum margin is that you're willing to send it out for. And then you can work deals, right? And it really empowers your team because they know now that, hey, Spencer's fine with us sending out a machine if it's at least $250, right? For 2 hours or 8 hours or whatever. And that's kind of like per day. So to give you an example, like we got a 10% click rate, right? Send it out to all of our customers. Anyone that comes to Mad Moose, we put their phone number in here and just text them because people don't really get mad at text. It's really easy to unsubscribe. We have about a 1.9% unsubscribe rate for the ones that went out. And this is how we track it, right? We use the promo code, the thanks 100, and we find out in Fair Harbor, okay, how many people use that campaign code for the time frame that it was active. Like this was active for like, I believe like 10 days. So we send out that text to every single customer that has ever rented with us or current customers. and you can tell it was used 48 times within that time frame. Once you go into the promo code in a campaign, you can hit edit and you can actually see every single booking that was made and the price point that it was made for. So once this loads here, you'll see kind of the list of bookings, the value. And what we do is we get the total value for all these bookings and divide it out over 48. And the interesting thing was that this, you're going to have some people that go on a 1 hour jet ski rental and pay the $26, right? But then you're also going to have the $1,100 bookings and some other big bookings, $900, $600. So the average booking value for this list of 48 was $299, right? So it was still $50 over our minimum price. And it was 48 bookings, right? It was 15 grand basically that got brought into the business for cash flow. So I don't think that it's something that customers, will always get used to, like always have a reason to send out like a deal or a discount. And you're still going to have people book full price, right? During these 10 days, not everybody saw this or used it. Like we still had people booking full price consistently. But we had like an extra like chunk of business that was provided just by sending out this text, right? And we sent one out yesterday too. We've launched memberships, right? For $4.50 a month. So these texts are great to send to certain contacts. Like this was only sent out to locals, whereas like our $100 off deal was sent out to all of our customers. So yeah, any questions or ideas on that from the group? As far as I know, Drew sent out a text before. If you're curious on the tool, this is Podium, right? You can use any sort of software to send out these group texts, or you could do it by email, but it's just bringing awareness to people, right? Because they're thinking, oh, I've got this budget, I can't go play this year. But if you send them a deal, they're like, oh, I can make that work, so I'm going to book, right? And they take action. So yeah, any thoughts on this portion? Kind of an example.
You said you control your text messaging through Podium?
Yeah, yep, through Podium. Yeah, that's kind of where all our inbound texts come or calls. So you can see the list here
Right.
for today, right? And we use a little team chat, but these are what they call bulk messages. So you can send out bulk text messages. You pay
Right.
when you send them out. It's like 5 cents or something a text or less, but yeah. So those are deals that we send out every so often. Yeah. And we've done some that are like $50 off, some that are $100 off, and you can get creative with these, right? Maybe it's $100 off, but it's only for full day bookings. Like if you don't have as much margin, you can always pitch the full booking that's a higher price, take the $100 cut off of a higher priced item, or maybe it's a $50 cut off of a half day. This is just one example of something that we sent out, right? Like we wanted to get some business through the door because it helps pay for staff, keeps them excited. You get 48 people through, they're going to leave reviews. It's all about like maintaining momentum in the business, right?
Do you
Yeah,
run your whole
especially-
phone? Sorry.
Go ahead, Greg, sorry.
Yeah, do you run your whole phone system through Podium?
Yes, yeah. So if you opt into their
Interesting.
phone system, they'll give you the phones, convert your number. And yeah, we don't have, the only thing we have at our locations is a Starlink and Podium, right? Like internet and then their phones. Yeah.
Podium is expensive, Greg, but it really is not just for these bulk messages, but being able to really keep track of all the calls and the text messages that are coming in and not letting any of those slip through the crack or sending quick, we're now in a mode of really texting with customers, not exclusively, but especially after hours, I'm able to reply to them very easily because I can just send them a text message and anybody can pick up where I left off. There's a really good record keeping of what happened with communication with that customer. So in terms of really taking your communication to the next level, Podium, it costs a lot, but it's definitely, it helps you avoid those 1-star reviews because you didn't get back to a customer, basically. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're able to respond, quickly, then that person could have went somewhere else, right? Like typically people
Oh,
wait
yeah.
like what, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Most people it's under 5 minutes. So if you don't respond quickly, they're already off doing something else as well. So I think with any software, you have to see it as more of an investment, especially if you are starting to push paid ads and getting yourself out there more, like exactly like Drew said, if things are slipping through the cracks, then you're just wasting money on those paid ads if you're not closing those customers, right? And also it's meeting the customers where they're at, because there's some people who do not like to call. Like we have multiple customers where we'll book them just all through text, and that's what they want to do. So
yeah, and they get automated text if they call and we miss the call. Instead of them thinking it's just going into an empty void, they automatically get a text message if they're calling from a cell number saying, you reached us after hours, we'll be with you soon, or something like that. So that way
Yeah.
they're immediately getting confirmation that you're listening to them.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
we have a similar system. I'm not sure it's as versatile as Podium's, but yeah, it's something I'll look into. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's all about addressing like customer expectations nowadays, right? They're going through, and if you think of all the stuff that you've booked, like I took an Uber ride the other day and, some Airbnb bookings, and a lot of these platforms are moving to like, yeah, book right now, full refund up to 24 hours, right? Like there's a lot of expectations and they get back to them super fast. So you can see like Podium is a tool, right? But it's a tool we use to like meet customer expectations, like Shelby said. So you can see we're really trying to meet those expectations. Our medium response time because of the tool is, less than a minute, 1 minute. And you can see like just different reporting in here, review invitations, like the amount of calls that we get. It's kind of like a catch-all system, right? If we're paying for ads or we're working on social and we're getting phone calls or they're calling us after hours, or maybe the staff isn't there that day, every single call routes through this, is tracked, is recorded. So I like to think about it as far as like we at least are getting the opportunity to sell every single person that saw our business, and we're doing it really quickly. So we get to give them that first offer and that first chance at like saying, just book with us. And then they can go search around, but most of the time we just book them on the phone because we know what our costs are and we just get the deal. This year has been our motto, right? Like our phrase for our sales staff is book it always. Because we're taking them out of the market is the goal, right? Take them
I
out
was
of
really surprised with that $100 deal. People were getting slingshot rentals for $28. I'd be like, I'd have to second guess. But in a way,
Yeah.
you're sending that to previous customers, so you can also consider it to be a free or a customer award. You're sending it to somebody that's already your customer, so you can kind of, instead of thinking of giving them something for free, you're keeping them as a loyal customer, giving them a good deal, right?
Yep.
And think of the whole cycle too, right? Like, the goal with the marketing is to capture the business, and there's still a lot of opportunity there. So if we train our staff right, when they show up, there's still opportunity for an upsell. Like, hey, I saw you booked for an hour at this great deal. Most people
Right.
actually go for 4 hours. Like, how much time do you have? This area is like the best place to ride. We would love to give you, a deal and get an extra $50 for whatever that upsell opportunity is. But there's a lot of potential on the back end. Once they show up, there's, the review, there's the upsell, there's the repeat business. Maybe they're a local and we pitch them on a membership and we're like, yeah, you paid $58. Like, how would you like to do that every time with the membership? Like, you just pay for gas and whatever. So whatever you have to pitch for them, you're capturing attention is really what it comes down to with marketing. So if you kind of think of it as a game of attention, like our whole goal is right now, because the market is how it is, like is to turn attention to our business as the place to spend money instead of somewhere else, right? So yeah, Podium is definitely one of the tools that we use for marketing, right? As far as like a place to get attention, because they've already seen it, they called, they've texted, and now it's our job to get them out of the market and get them booked. So
In
Cool.
regard to your guys' customers, how many of them would you say are returning versus those who are riding for the first time or taking a tour or a rental or whatever you offer for the first time?
That addressed to me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Our returning customers is probably around 20%, maybe even less. You say?
So that was 15,
Yeah,
15,
that's like us.
20%, especially during summer.
We're basically we exist because we're a tourist destination for the north during the winter.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for that, then this wouldn't be viable. So, and most of those will do Tucson once. You know, it's not a place you would keep coming back to, given what else is available around America. So, I would say about between 15 and 20% are returning customers.
Okay.
But we also give them and have since day one, literally, you come again, you get automatically a 10% discount. No questions asked. Just let us know that you've been here. We look you up in the system and you get your 10%. Sometimes even greater, depending on because they will bring families and take maybe 3 and 4 vehicles, and obviously then we're going to throw them an even bigger deal. So, but we've done that since day one.
Awesome. Yep, we love those returning customers because a lot of them already have like the safety rundown. Of course, we touch on it again, but it's refreshing to see those returning customers, at least for me, right? I'm like, oh, you guys, you know the gist of it, you know the location pretty well, so that's cool.
Yeah, and you know that you've done a good job. You know, they come back because they like what you sell. They like you. They like what you do. So and then they bring friends and family, and then so forth and so on. So no, yeah, it's an easy breeze.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's pretty similar to our numbers as well. Like it's like a 20-80%, like 80% new, 20% repeat. Now we're trying to bring those numbers up on that 20% with membership or maybe other offerings that we have. But yeah, like it's still a good chunk of business, right? So sending out, text to past customers or deals, or gift cards to come back. Like Drew said, like we're not, it's a lower acquisition cost because they're riding with us again. So we can somewhat afford to give them a deal, especially if it's still over what our minimum cost is to send a machine out, right? Because we're going to have the machine for a month and pay for it for a month anyways. So yeah, I think that's super important in any business is finding out those costs and like include the insurance, include everything in that, right? Like what it takes to run the operation every single day, what those hard costs are. So what you need to send out every day to make that covered, and what that looks like. Because the more you send things out, the lower all those costs get because they're spread across more rentals. So cool. I like it. Anything else from you guys that you've seen worked in the market or ideas that you've seen as far as kind of direct marketing is concerned, like the warm outreach for guests?
Just to touch on what Drew has done with the late night returns and that we do something similar. However, I haven't got myself to let them return it on their own. Realistically, I can only see a nightmare scenario down the road if they've caused damage and that, and it's not dealt with immediately. That's my only concern with that. We do have those odd customers that'll claim it was never them and they didn't do it, and it must have been somebody must have come in with a sledgehammer afterwards and beaten the crap out of the machine. So that would be my concern. I mean, we do the late nights. up to a point we got to, I think 9 o'clock, something like that. But I haven't got the courage to just let them return it on its own. I mean, for most, it would be okay, but it's got to be that one, and then we're fighting like hell, and all that hard work's gone down the tube because you're $1,500 out or whatever, or to spend forever fighting for it.
Yeah, and it just depends on like getting set up to offer something, right? So as a business owner, when we were like seeing customers, and this kind of like methodology works for any idea that you want to implement, but when you're seeing like customer demand for a specific product, or they want to stay late, or let's say they want to do a self-return, and it is kind of attractive because then, you know, they can return on their own. You know, people do it through Turo and through all these other companies now just fine, right? So the question I always ask myself is like, what would it take to get that implemented, and what does that look like, and what would I need to change to make that happen so that I can capture this business of this customer that I'm missing out on right now, right? So a lot of those concerns are definitely valid and things that we had to think through as well. And we just needed, like, we figured out how to get that process dialed, right? For the self-return, how they take their own photos, making sure we have like the damage hold. So that if they damage the machine, the money's like there, and that, you know, when it's returned, it still looks good. And it was, yeah, oddly enough, like our return customers have been pretty independent. I'm trying to think of how many we've had come back damaged, but it's kind of just a handful. Like I think less than 5 have come back damaged from a self-return. And we've done quite a bit this year because we started that clear back. I can't remember, Shelby, like March or something.
Yeah, spring.
Yeah.
It definitely makes sense for the returning customers, the ones that you kind of know and feel more. We have a hard time trusting people. That should be quite honest.
Yeah. No, that's totally valid, right? Especially like, you know, sending them out with certain things. So yeah, it's a matter of thinking like, what does that look like so that I'm
Yeah.
doing it, and then it can happen, you know?
But
Yeah.
we also do the beat the heat during the summer as well. Get your butt up out of bed. Come see us at 7. You get out at 7:30. You be back by 1:30. When it gets to the hottest time, kind of thing. And I think that has been quite successful as well. That people can get out early enough so they are back, because the hottest time is really between 1 and 5. You know, that's like, 110 kind of thing. Although this summer has been incredibly mild, I would say, compared to other years. So
Yeah, a little bit better weather. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of came down to like when on the topic of marketing, right? Like when you think about your availabilities and when you have availabilities for people to go out and return, we really wanted to make sure that we had the most availability as possible, so that people could leave at 5 o'clock and return late because they were doing another activity during the day. So it allows us to reach more customers because we have more time slots, right? If I only had like an option to leave at 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, like sure, that might fit my schedule as a business owner really well because I only have to worry about 2 times. But our focus really should be, if we want more customers, then we should turn to more of a customer focused mindset of like, well, what would our customers appreciate, and when do they want to go out? Because we have, you know, the sunset tour times that go out later. We've got self-returns that want to do the sunset on their own. It allows you to reach more customers, and you can put out as many time slots as you want and then see which ones, you know, get the most traction, and then build processes to fit like the demand, you know. So a lot of the times to reach new customers, we'll implement something and kind of figure it out as it goes, right? Like if you think of when you first started your business, it kind of felt like that, right? Let's get these machines in here, or let's start these tours, put something out there and see what books. And it's kind of that same thing, like continuing to implement new ideas and seeing what traction it gets. and then, you know, pulling it back if it doesn't sell, or if it's, you know, a failed experiment type of a thing. So
I think with launching like any new item or changing any process within a business, because like when we started self returns, like I had a similar thought. Like I was nervous, right? I'm like thinking in my head all the things that could potentially go wrong. Although it's like, think of those things because we need to be prepared. But like Spencer said, how do we have the processes and procedures in place to like mitigate any risk that could potentially happen? But I totally agree. Like there's definitely a mindset shift that I had to have, like not be scared when someone was going out on a self-return, right? Like, because yeah, those feelings are definitely valid. I feel yeah.
cool. So yeah, we've kind of covered a little bit of warm and cold outreach, and I would love to hear, I guess, everyone's thoughts a little bit on like the paid ads portion, and we can give some insight on what's worked well for our company as well as like a bunch of other companies that we've partnered with. Let me see, I can probably pull this up.
Are most of you guys right now doing paid ads? Are you pushing them more just because of the market? What are the overall thoughts on like just paid advertising as a whole?
My concern is tracking its the return you get. I keep getting told figures I'm getting, you know, a 10-time return, but I'm the kind of skeptic says, well, you could twist figures to match anyway. How do we know these people wouldn't have booked anyway? So it's really understanding the value of them. I always hear that, you know, the click turns into a sale. Well, that I wonder, do they just click because of the Google ads, or do they click because they've already seen us and we're already kind of looking, and the Google ad is just kind of in there. So I'm a little bit skeptical, but I definitely wouldn't dream of not doing them, that's for sure. I'm just wondering how useful they are, and are they actually bringing in customers when we, you know, in our hard season is from June through to September. Are they actually working on those people that are booking then anyway, the diehards who would have booked with or without the Google ads? So am I spending $500-600 a month when I, you know, when I'm only making 20,000 anyway? Do I really need to do that? And getting true readings on those, because when we ask how do people hear us, very few ever say Google ads.
Oh, okay. Where do most of them hear about you?
They say website or referrals,
Okay.
the majority. But then again, how accurate are people in reporting that as well? So I mean, there's a whole load of ifs and buts in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the rule of thumb is like you said, we know that paid ads work, so it's more so the question that a lot of outfitters have is just how much and which channels should we be pushing, right? And it changes fairly frequently. So usually what we've told our partners and anyone in the tour and attraction industry is if your overall budget is, you know, $1,500 or less per month, then it's something that you can somewhat handle on your own, running some ads from your Google My Business page, boosting a couple posts that, you know, perform well, that lead to your website. Because like you said, you might have a paid ad on your social that takes them to the website, and then they report that they booked on your website, right? So it's all a matter of having just like a good mix that makes sense within a specific budget. So what we found from spending, you know, too much money on ads, because we've done that as well. Like with Mad Moose, yeah, we've spent upwards of, yeah, 50K in a month, right? Like it was a ton of money on ads when it was a lot of traction and we wanted to see the data that came back. And we've spent too little on ads, right? To where we weren't capturing enough of the market. So what we found, and we've run this through a couple companies, is it's about 5% of your gross revenue is about your budget for ads. And kind of having that rule of thumb really helps, because if you look at the monthly revenue for each month and you want to do it on the booking created date, right? When you're running a report in Fair Harbor, because that's when the bookings are actually being made, not when they're writing. So if you look at your booking created reports in Fair Harbor and find out what that gross revenue number is for every month of the year, then you can take 5% of that number and you can get a really clear idea of how much you should spend each month in paid ads, right? And the bulk of paid ads for us has been a mix of Google and social this year. So running some social boosted posts, because social, generally speaking, is less expensive than Google AdWords, the cost per click, at least earlier this year. And yeah, so if you're doing, you know, 20K a certain month, right? Like one of your months, and you use that rule of thumb, then you'd be spending, you know, $1,000 in marketing that month. And maybe 500 of it is tailored towards Google Ads. 250 of it might be for your social, and then 250 of it might be to send out like your text to your current and past customers, right? Because that's your marketing budget as a whole. So yeah, you really want to get creative with the amount that you have. And then as your gross sales increase, it's going to allot more budget for your marketing. But 5% is still our rule of thumb for the year. And then it goes up and down, right, throughout the year, depending on when people are actually booking the sale. Does that make sense?
It does, and it kind of tallies in with, I won't say I do that in my high season, but in my low season, I'm around the 5% mark, and I'm a little reluctant to go above, but I feel I would just like to, I'd like to be able to track them a little better. I have a limited knowledge of it as well. It's not my strength at all, this internet marketing or using the web for those purposes, but I do see a use for it. I'm definitely not blind to its benefits, that's for sure. I just lose the will to live every time I try and read this stuff. So
yeah, and that's where, I mean, we definitely put our budgets to where we put it through an agency at this point. So we have partners that we know and trust that run ads, right? They take care of some of our partners' ads, like Drew's and others. So if it got to a point where you were like, hey, we want to spend $1,500 a month and we need an agency that we know and trust, like we use them and have got a good return, because I don't really look at it much anymore. The paid portion, I get reports once a month from them. But I'm not in it day to day because it's not something I want to like spend my time on fully at this point, right? So if it's not your strong suit or something that you fully understand, it's really good to have like a partner that you know and trust and have them take care of it, because then you can go doing all the other stuff and work on your business and move the needle in the business in ways that you like to, right? And then you check in once or twice a month with the agency just to make sure that they're updated on things that are happening, right? You might have a new product that you're trying to push. It's summer now, so we're going to do some jet ski ads. Like those are the kind of things you talk about once a month when you have an agency run it. And usually they'll run it for, yeah, about that minimum amount is like about a $1,500 a month spend is when you can do it. Cool. Any other, I mean, questions around paid ads? There's a lot that goes into the paid ads, and you can set up a bunch of stuff, right? There's Google Analytics. There's, you know, Google has a bunch of consoles that you can go in and track acquisition. We've set up a lot of that in Fair Harbor. You can actually set up your Google Analytics ID so you can see the conversions for each month, like how much has come through what traffic source. So yeah, so there's definitely like a clear picture of there. But if you live outside that world, like I said, sometimes it's a benefit just to have the agency control that and then show you the numbers. and then just move on through it. If you're managing your own social, like, do you guys manage your own social campaigns, like your Instagram or Facebook, things like that?
We put ours through an agent, but I'm a little unsure how relative sometimes the agent can be, because obviously they kind of have a set number of ads they're putting out or posts they're putting, and it tends to get a little bit repetitive from what we've seen. They'll do it 1 month, 2 months before, plan ahead, say this is what we're going to post, but then we don't react to anything that's, suddenly become trending, shall we say, or something happens fairly quickly. We're not capturing that moment. It's all pre-planned well in advance, and I kind of feel that loses some of the instant gratification that is now, or the instant responses, shall we say, to what's going on, by being so far ahead. And it's not necessarily capturing exactly what's happening to some extent. So yeah, we do use an agency. I'm unsure. I'm thinking of bringing it back in house, because we've got a guy who can do all this. He lives and eats and breathes all this stuff, and I'm wondering if being more, doing it weekly as opposed to monthly or whatever might be more beneficial. Flies. But yes.
Yeah. Well, and how we've set up ours right now is the Google ads stay pretty consistent. Like, your keywords and that build is somewhat standard and can be somewhat repetitive, because you're going after people searching after specific things, and they continue to search relevant keywords, right? And then what we've kept in-house is somewhat the social, reacting to what's happening, trends, things like that. The social is a lot easier to stay on top of, because we can record our own videos or post our own content that's super relevant and like showcases our business and our location and our experience, right? And so our focus has been on the social side, like focusing on the experience and posting, and then running boosted ads there, but then having the agency still control like the Google ads portion. Because that's where you want most of your spend to go towards the ads. So it just depends on what you would end up paying that individual to manage like the Google ads, and would you pay the same or more for an agency? Does that agency get a better buy because they're in a bulk buy with Google? So yeah, just kind of running the numbers on those sorts of things. So we found with most companies, the Google ads is really good to sub out to an agency, and then your social campaigns and ads to stay relevant. It's really super helpful to keep that stuff in-house, because most people that manage their social, that live in the area they live, can actually make relevant content that only you can post, right? Like, you want to stand out rather than just, oh, look, another picture of a machine, right? So yeah.
Yeah, that's that's kind of what I've been thinking of. I just haven't got round to broaching that subject with the advertising agency that we use. But I think I'm looking to take the social media away, because I don't think they do the greatest job of it. I know there's also a belief how important is social media. People tend to flick through it as opposed to grab it. I'm certainly not a social media person at all, but I know I'm a rarity. So bringing it in-house makes sense, and the Google ads, leaving it with them, makes sense. They're probably getting a better deal, as you say, and it's all about keywords, and those are kind of set in stone. So yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I think with today's topic, I think with marketing, it's coming down to like, as a business this year, the remainder of this year, and I think going into next year, it's going to be super important to know your costs so that you can play around in the discount space and offer deals that make sense, continue to push business through your company to make it worth, paying employees, keeping those people on, and, still landing some margin at the end of the day. But yeah, like, when you look at a business, most of the most of the bookings that you want to have come through the business will be like through a direct source, right? And then the online and paid ads will be supplemental to that direct base, but you definitely want to build a very strong base of direct business through, business listings, whether that's on Google, Apple, or anywhere else. You want those business listings to be updated and accurate. And then I think for our next call, it would be super helpful to talk about kind of the network side of marketing, right? With Shelby bringing up the affiliates, and you can have direct affiliates, and maybe some of them are unpaid, up to like your OTAs, right? Your online travel agencies that are affiliates that are paid. And that's another thing, right? That makes it super important to know your cost, because you can know if affiliates within budget or not, right? We know that we can pay the 30% on our affiliates bookings because we have them priced to make sure that we take home that minimum price or more of that margin that we want. So yeah, I think a lot to discuss on that front on our next call, as well as like the network side of bookings. Anything to add to that, Shelby?
Local affiliates is super fun, so I'm excited to talk about that because it's just cool to connect with other like-minded business owners in your area as well, right? Like in my opinion, why not network with others who have the same dream customers as you? And we've seen quite a few referrals come through each month from these affiliates that you set up one time, you get it set up correctly in Fair Harbor or whatever your booking software is. And then we have some people who will send us referrals, and they wrote with us, years ago, or maybe they wrote a blog. And each month she's getting referrals for just writing that one blog, right? So yeah, I think it's super important to be proactive and start to consider with how the market is, like what have I not yet considered, or like what will it take for me to implement XYZ, and just try it, right? Like why not? So
yeah, so next time we can definitely hit on that. Like affiliates, we have the goal to get to 1,000 affiliates by next June. We're at 156 right now. And yeah, like I just barely sent out checks to our affiliates. So we pay them 5%, which is a lot less than the 30% for OTAs. But yeah, we had about 15K in referrals last month as far as business goes from the affiliate network. And it's all added revenue, right? That adds up to about, 150, 200K a year from this affiliate network. And if we 10 times the number of affiliates and, 5 times that number, that'll be a very significant way that we can grow the business. So when it comes to affiliates, it's setting up those direct relationships for people to refer customers your way. Other local companies that you can resell their tours. So we'll show some specific examples of how we've implemented those ideas. Because yeah, it creates consistent revenue, right? If you have that 20K of direct business happening every month, you can portion that out and say, okay, if we start with affiliates, we're going to start to see this increase as well. So with marketing, it's all about managing those channels and then starting to build a few more and whatever's going to move the needle the fastest when it comes to your top line and your bottom line. So cool, sweet. I would say, yeah, last 2 minutes, any final questions, thoughts, when dealing with, more so the direct side? That's kind of been our main topic today, so. If not, we will send out the link for the mastermind call in 2 weeks. We'll go over the next topic will be the affiliates, whether paid or direct on the affiliate side. And Shelby also has like an accountability call that happens every Tuesday morning. So if you're interested in that, every Tuesday morning, it's a call that will help hold you accountable to implementing this stuff and getting it taken care of. We discuss ideas on that call as well. And we also will be announcing soon our next webinar. And so we'll send you guys out that info as well. Sweet. Okay, I think that's it. But super excited to continue having these mastermind calls. It's meant to be more of a discussion and have your guys' input on what's happening and what you're seeing in your business. So definitely come prepared to share insights on what you've seen and heard on affiliates so far, and we'll hit that next time. So,
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
okay, we'll see you later. Good to see you, Greg.
Cheers. And you guys, thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you.